Good morning. Happy Tuesday. Good to see all of y'all again through the power of the cameras. I am Danielle Radford. Hi. Hello. I have got with me Spencer Gilbert.
Why do I have headphones on?
I don't. Did you leave after?
They were here. It's instinct. Sorry.
We've got Dan Murrell.
Hello.
Hello. And joining us, welcome our special guest, Felix Morritt with Amazon.
Hey, everybody. Nice to be here.
Nice to have you here.
Hand delivering our Prime Day.
That's right. I have all the boxes back there.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So it is SJU. We are talking, obviously, about the 2019 Emmys. Nominations were released today. We do have some breaking news. Wah, 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 wah.
Whoa.
TAIKA Waititi is back for Thor 4. This is via THR. TAIKA Waititi is returning to write and direct a follow-up to his 2017 Thor Ragnarok. How are we feeling about that?
Sure, of
Great.
course.
Yeah, of course.
Excited.
Very exciting, very pumped. Of course, this does mean that his Akira movie is going to be put on pause. Do we think that Akira is going to happen?
No. I feel like I've been hearing about the live-action Akira since the early aughts.
Yeah. Yep.
I think DiCaprio had the rights for a long time, and it drifted to TAIKA, which is exciting but confusing, and because there's not a lot of humor in that film.
No, it's not really, not super funny.
Not the funniest, unless you're into like blob stuff. And then,
Well, who is into blob stuff?
blob jokes, and then so we'll never see this.
Yeah.
No.
I also think it's a film nowadays that a studio's not willing to throw a ton of money at because it's huge in VFX. It's a big film in like subculture and Asian culture, but not widespread. And how do you see the return on that long term in a Ghost in a Shell, in a Blade Runner, things that haven't had the massive success that you've wanted?
Any anime was going to be a crossover. It's like, this is the one that if you haven't seen any others, you at least know what Akira is, and you've been pressured into watching it in college, and you're like, this is weird.
It's like that in Evangelion.
Yeah,
That's also a project that's happening at Warner Brothers, and we've been talking about Warner Brothers. They've taken some big, high-profile hits, Blade Runner 2049 being one of them. The fact that Grindelwald, their Fantastic Beasts we're not quite sure. I mean, they're going to keep making them, but Grindelwald wasn't, I think, the breakout success that they'd wanted. Shazam was not the breakout success that they wanted. They had a huge hit with Aquaman, but I think when you're Warner Brothers and you're pumping so much money into their new streaming service, you have got to look at what's the return on investment here, and you have a project like Akira that it's risky. You could roll the dice and it could come up huge, but you could also, critical acclaim's not enough. Appealing to just the smallish fan base of the original is not enough. You have to have that breakout potential. Not that there aren't a lot of Akira fans out there, but it's not Superman. It's not Harry Potter.
Yeah, or you just do the low-budget, grounded version set in New Zealand that I think TAIKA should be making.
Well, there's that too.
There's also
Similar to Watchmen, do you think it would be better served as a series? Since they're going to have to pump out content for their new streaming service, I think it's better as a confined film because it is so weird and you want to see it on the biggest screen possible. But
the manga fills in a lot of important details. Actually, you get more into the experimentation of the children, and yes, it's. I think you could definitely make a series out of this because the movie is an adaptation of a manga that's like, it's not super long, but it's like a good limited series out of there.
Yeah. There we go. We fixed it, you guys. We fixed Akira and movies and television.
My favorite thing is that it says Chris Hemsworth is expected to reprise his role as Thor. Well, I would hope so. Thor 4 is going to be kind of hard to do without Chris Hemsworth reprising his role as Thor.
Cast Will Smith, you cowards. And our next story coming up, the Emmy nominations via People. So first up, we've got Outstanding Comedy Series with nominations for Barry, Fleabag, The Good Place, Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, Russian Doll, Schitt's Creek, and Veep. Any of these standing out for you? I love all of these series.
Yeah.
This is a great time for comedy.
I like that Schitt's Creek has been able to get away with like them being able to say Schitt's Creek.
Yeah.
I know.
That's not a swear, YouTube. That's somebody's name. So don't demonetize us.
You're talking to Skynet, man. No one's actually listening except some computer that's listening to everything.
Yeah,
Be respectful of other people's cultures, computer.
yeah, the Amazon and me obviously has to push for Mrs. Maisel. It's also a fantastic show, but I think right now Barry. I love season 2. I can't remember if it's episode 4, episode 5 that has that choreographed fight scene. That's the entire episode. I think is genius, and it's like this really awesome piece of dark humor that you just get to ride on with these funky characters. And NoHo Hank, how do you go wrong?
I agree.
I watch so little television, really. This is what it's really underlining for me is like, oh my God, there's so many TV shows I need to watch that I don't watch.
Really good. And A Good Place has been one of my favorite shows basically since it came out. Just a beautiful melding of genre, along with obviously all those great Megan Amran puns. Gonna miss those when she moves on to whatever next series she brings her puns to. Unfortunately, Amazon did not hire me to do the Emmy campaign for Marvelous Mrs. Maisel last year. You weren't here, but I told the story briefly. I don't know if you remember the campaign from last year.
The phone calls?
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Yeah, I was one of the actors on that.
That's awesome. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So unfortunately, I didn't get paid for that this year. But yeah, all of these are great choices. Russian Doll, another really good one that I did not see coming.
I've only seen one episode, but I've heard it's very Groundhog Day sci-fi, but instead a modern day storytelling.
Yeah, it's not like laugh out loud guffaw, but not a lot of these shows are, which is why for me, I know it's the favorite most years. Veep is just so funny, and like the performances are so good, and take note, HBO, like this was a shortened final season of a beloved show, and they nailed it. They went off on a perfect high note.
Too late, Spencer.
So to be so good for so consistently long, it'll probably be rewarded for the final season bump.
Yeah.
Yep. Speaking of, we've got outstanding drama series. That's going to be your Better Call Saul, Bodyguard, Game of Thrones, Killing Eve, Ozark, Pose, Succession, and This Is Us. Game of Thrones, I'm sure we have it in the notes somewhere, with just an amazing amount of nominations.
It set the record.
37?
32?
I'm sure this is setting the internet, the people that did not care for Game of Thrones, but I saw it set the record for the most nominations a show has ever gotten in one season, which for a lot of people that love Game of Thrones, or used to, I'm sure is very frustrating that its most reviled season by far got the most nominations of any show ever. Well, part of it is the last season.
I mean, they need to slow their roll because if you have issues with the writing, as I do, as I think the internet does, fine. That's one of the 32 nominations, and the craft of the show is still unimpeachable.
Right.
So, and acting, so many acting nominations.
So many acting nominations. We'll start with, are there any of these other series that really stand out for you?
Well, what really stood out, and this is not new, but looking at the comedy, there's one comedy series, there's one drama series, and then and that entire list that are on network television.
Wow.
Yeah.
This Is Us and The Good Place are the only two, unless I'm overlooking something, the only two shows on comedy or drama that are on, and they're both on NBC. That are on network television, which means Fox, CBS, ABC produced 0 shows nominated for Best Comedy or Drama Series.
And the streak is over for Old Sheldon, Big Bang Theory.
I know, that's right. No final season.
Nope.
Yeah.
Crazy. Ha ha ha. You've gotten your revenge.
And they've gotten their millions of dollars, so they're going to be just fine. Next up, so we've got outstanding lead actor in a drama series, Jason Bateman for Ozark, Sterling K. Brown for This Is Us, Kit Harington for Game of Thrones.
He doesn't want it. I don't want it.
Go ahead and pass it up. He doesn't want this nomination, you guys. Bob Odenkirk for Better Call Saul, Billy Porter for Pose, and Milo Ventimiglia, This Is Us. Pose is such a great show, and I'm glad that it's getting a lot of its flowers. A lot of people, I feel like that's one that for a lot of people it's kind of under the radar because it is, it is something that is a very specific time and it's very specific characters. And for a lot of people, it's something that can be outside of their comfort zones. But I urge everyone to watch it, and especially to love up on Billy Porter. Is there anyone here that you guys are thinking, or my guess is it's going to be Kit Harington. Sterling K. Brown is great, but this last season kind of, maybe a little water treading for me.
I want Bob Odenkirk to get that Emmy loving. I feel like almost everyone else in the Breaking Bad orbit has gotten their moment with the Emmys, and I would love to see Bob Odenkirk. I don't think he's won. I don't think
he's like the new John Hamm for Mad Men.
Yeah.
Just kind of sitting in a pool of talent, waiting for his time to shine, and maybe when the new or that this new wave falls away, he kind of stays around and gets his last hurrah.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, I remember this season is like I know we say this every year, but he really got to break bad this season. He's really getting closer to becoming Saul. Yeah. Any day now, he will be Saul Goodman. And I thought this was, although it's also more of an ensemble because you have, is it Jonathan Harris, who's the grumpy guy?
Jonathan Banks.
Jonathan Banks.
Yeah,
and Mike and his... was the actress. Man, I'm blanking on all of them. It's like a three-header this year, but Bob Odenkirk definitely deserves Emmy love. And I should check out Pose. Is it like Paris is Burning, the show?
Yes, it is Paris is Burning, the show.
All right, I'm in.
That is exactly what it is. It's fantastic. It is literally Paris is Burning, the show, and it's great. The writing is really well done. All of the acting is amazing. Just a crap ton of great transgender talent on that, which is why it's exciting that they're starting to get nominations and stuff. So very exciting. Next, we've got Outstanding Lead Actress in a Drama Series. There's Emilia Clarke for Game of Thrones, Jodie Comer for Killing Eve, Viola Davis, How to Get Away with Murder, which How to Get Away with that show still being on the air is confusing to me, but it's fine. I loved it. It's fine. It was time to go when Scandal went, guys. Laura Linney for Ozark, Sandra Oh, Killing Eve. Gonna get a lot of weird mentions from my black fans. Mandy Moore, This Is Us. Robin Wright, House of Cards. I'm sorry, I love Viola Davis, but that show has lost so much steam. It is not.
Yeah.
I'm glad that she's nominated. Not this role. Not, no.
They just announced it's the last season next season, right, for that show?
Yeah.
It's about time. Yeah.
It's
Take it
time.
out to pasture.
Everyone's been getting away with murder for like 5 or 6 years. There's no more murders to get away with. They're all done.
Well, it's to make up for the snub of playing Amanda Waller in Suicide Squad.
That's exactly.
They're trying to make it up.
Supposed to get that Oscar.
Yeah.
Yes.
So obviously we've got Emilia Clarke in here for her work in the last season.
I think she's probably if I were going to appoint a front runner. Maybe her.
This is the second season of Killing Eve?
Yes.
So I imagine voters have not seen it because you have to sign up for BBC to see it.
Killing Eve is amazing. It's another one where if you do feel like
the first season's on like everything, you can see it and it's great. I assume they're still fantastic, so I hope they win.
Yeah, they're still really great. If you feel like giving your credit card info to one more company,
I was a little surprised to see Robin Wright in here, just because number one, shocked that last season of House of Cards was this Emmy season because it seemed like so long ago that I watched it, and then it wasn't very good, I guess. And Michael Kelly too got a supporting nomination as Doug Stamper. I mean, it's just I guess maybe because it was the last season.
Wow,
but
he's still alive in that show, still stamping around.
I don't want to
doing stamp stuff.
Yeah, he's
still stamping.
stamping around in the last season. Yeah.
When I stopped watching, like season 2, wasn't he like dead? No, he was rehabbing from.
Well, he got hit in the head with a rock.
Yeah.
And then he was going through some tough times.
Ooh, yeah, brutal.
Yeah, he had a tough road. Well,
good for old Stampy.
Stamping around.
Congratulations, stamps.
But yeah, I was surprised that people A, remembered, and B, decided to, because I don't know, it just wasn't very
I don't know anybody that watched that show. Kind of got, I mean, it was buried for the right reasons. I'm surprised that it's still afloat.
Yeah.
Yep. So next we were going to do Outstanding Lead Actor in a Limited Series or Movie, Mahershala Ali for True Detective, Benicio del Toro for Escape at Dannemora, Hugh Grant for A Very English Scandal, Jared Harris for Chernobyl, Jarrell Jerome for When They See Us, and Sam Rockwell for Fosse Verdon. This is Jared Harris's year. He's
an acclaimed actor. Acclaimed actor Jared Harris.
Yep, and Chernobyl was amazing. I think this is also, Chernobyl's going to be doing some...
Yeah, I mean, but you were saying, Spencer, this morning, like, what a murderer's row in that limited series this year.
Ooh.
Like, that's just the Fosse Verde. So you have,
you got Sam Rockwell dancing up a storm.
Yep.
Benicio, the movie star, coming down to television. And by the way, Escape at Dannemora is fantastic.
Yeah, don't overlook it.
Really good.
No one's gonna vote for it because it's no one watched it, but it's great. And Mahershala rehabbing True Detective back to form, and Hugh Grant, A Very English Scandal. I'm not sure that's a real thing, but it sounds like something
I can promise you it is.
Yes.
On Amazon.
I'm
How
sorry.
do you? So when you look at, because I know you have a lot to do with how you kind of deal with these Emmy nominations. How do you start to push really hard for Hugh Grant in A Very English Scandal?
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty simple process. I think once you get down to it, there's about 24,000-ish Emmy voters. 90% of them live in Los Angeles. It's almost like one of the more targeted campaigns you could ever run. Basically, you try and do your best to find out, okay, this is where person A lives, B lives, C lives, and you know that they have the most influence in the market, and you surround them. You do everything. you literally do everything you can, whether that be from an out-of-home perspective, a digital perspective.
You know, Dan and I are Emmy voters now.
That's why I'm here. I do what I can.
Man, really pulling out that outreach, all the stops.
Exactly. Amazon knows.
Human billboard.
Yeah, yeah. I'm a walking advert. But yeah, I think the ultimate objective is familiarity, right? Because there's so many TV shows now, more than there's ever been, especially with the advent of streaming. If you haven't seen everything, which I don't think any of us have seen all these shows, it kind of comes down to, well, okay, I've heard of that one, fine, I'll vote for it. Obviously, if you know of a show better and you like it, you're more prone to, but it kind of tries to even the playing field more or less for the shows you haven't seen.
Well, I feel like I've seen A Very English Scandal, starring Hugh Grant.
Yes. It also sounds
Kind
like
of make
Hugh
a
Grant.
composite Hugh Grant movie out of every other Hugh Grant movie I've seen.
It sounds like he named I like the name too. It sounds like he named it himself. It's like that's very English scandal. That's a very English name. I like it because that's how it would be described. Like it's like, well, it's a very English scandal, and
People are calling it a charming delight.
Yeah.
he's won a few different. He's been nominated for several things for that. Right,
I can't remember which award, but he has won once for his work on that show.
Golden Globe, maybe? I don't know. Yeah, it's one of those. It's weird the way that the schedule works out because like there's some things like Game of Thrones that just came out.
What seasons
And
go on
then
to which?
there's some things that came out like last fall that are just coming back around. So yeah, the awards season is very interesting. The way it works.
And I mean, speaking of like this being a stacked field, I loved The Bodyguard. I don't know if you guys have seen it. Richard Madden, I think, is the thing that carries that show, especially episode 1 just gets you hooked. But I mean, looking over it, who do you take out? Maybe Hugh Grant, A Very English Scandal, but it's a stacked field.
Yeah, right, Richard Madden, the only Game of Thrones actor not nominated for an Emmy.
All right, and next in Outstanding Lead Actress in a Limited Series or Movie, Amy Adams for Sharp Objects, Patricia Arquette for Escape at Dannemora, Emma Stone for Maniac, Michelle Williams for Fosse Verdon, Ingenue Ellis, I bet I butchered that, for When They See Us, and Niecy Nash for When They See Us. When They See Us is amazing. I feel like that one's going to wind up getting overlooked.
I have not seen that one yet.
Yeah, I think it's new. It's newish.
It's new and it's a bummer.
Yeah, well, and it's. I feel like there's just it's just the hype. It's Netflix and what they can hype and how much they can hype it. And I just feel like I've seen more about Fosse Verdon just because you have the Sam Rockwell, Michelle Williams angle to it, and then Escape at Dannemora has been out for a while, and I just feel like because it's one of the newer ones, When They See Us may have trouble catching up to the hype and the buzz of everything. And then Chernobyl. Well, it's not up against Chernobyl, but or is it? I don't know. Anyway. It's just hard to. It's just so many people are making them now.
Yeah.
That it's hard to compete.
Yeah.
Definitely. Now, do you know what's like the Emmy voter demographic?
So they don't disclose exactly who makes up that governing body. You can assume some key figures because if you've been in the industry for X number of years, you're automatically entered in and you have voting creds. But it is something that we work to get. It's not something that we have right now.
I imagine it's an older, whiter gentleman.
It is most certainly that. That we don't need research for. You can just look at the.
So
look at
Michelle
the field.
Williams is probably going to win because she's playing she does a spot on, not impression. She does a spot on job of inhabiting that character that old white people grew up with.
Yeah, there's this great, and somebody recreated it on Twitter. There's this great scene of her like dramatically wiping away this tear while like doing this great dancing thing, and someone on Twitter recreated it almost exactly. And it is quite beautiful.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this: if you were strategizing for an Emmy campaign for, let's say, medium-sized web series
Go on.
that might have trouble appealing to an older voting bloc.
Real pop culture heavy.
But
And they've already tried making Michael Bolton a producer.
let's say they tried bringing in a celebrity to come in and share the nomination. Let's say they also tried putting a few bus stop posters up. That did not work. How would you approach perhaps not being the perpetual Susan Lucci of the Primetime Emmy Awards?
To Spencer's point, the audience, even without research, is a little bit older, a little bit whiter. So you gotta get in that mindset. What are you listening to when you're in the car? You're not listening to the 800th Lil Nas X Old Town Road remix. You're probably listening to NPR. So that's a kind of a good space to try and sneak in a, hey, have you heard of so and so? But also bigger is better. You guys ride down Sunset and you see every third billboard is a consider FYC. It's really just all about.
Yeah.
Let's say that's not an option.
Would a sandwich board on a person who is semi-popular on the internet work?
If we were to put Joe Starr on the corner with the sandwich board, would that move the needle at all?
Should he be outside Spago? Where do they eat lunch? Nate and Al's?
I actually think,
been a sign.
and I don't even know how you would go about this because I would need this if you're up against, but conquesting I think is the thing that it tackles that the best. Basically what you do is you look at who you're up against, you find out where they're advertising, and then you spend a little bit more than them in that one spot.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, because it's a share of voice game, right, at the end of the day. So if they if they have 40%, maybe you get 50.
I think we just have to kneecap James Corden. I think that's our
No,
only...
but then they'll give him the sympathy vote.
Damn it. Anyway, sorry. Just
Totally
derailed
digress.
us.
Where were we?
We were talking about Outstanding Lead Actor in a Comedy Series. We've got Anthony Anderson for Blackish, Don Cheadle for Black Monday, Ted Danson, The Good Place, Michael Douglas, The Kaminsky Method, Bill Hader for Barry, and Eugene Levy for Schitt's Creek. These are all great. I don't think it's going to be for Blackish. I would love if Ted Danson won.
Yeah.
Black Monday is another one I don't think has really caught on that is really genuinely very funny. I think it's probably going to be Bill Hader for Barry.
Barry seems like the people love Barry. People like Bill Hader. People like Barry. The show's buzzy. It's got that quality to it. It's one of those shows that I think you see that can go on a multi-year run. HBO has those shows. Veep is one that's just gone on a multi-year run where they just win, and people seem to really, really like Barry right now. So yeah, I'll go with Barry.
So we've been doing this all wrong, Dan. What we should have been doing is making honest trailers for older, whiter people.
We need to do a Sleepless in Seattle honest trailer.
That's right.
Yes, Sleepless in Seattle, Marvelous Miss Maisel,
That's right.
your grandchildren.
Blue Bloods on CBS.
Your grandkids, they're the best. But they should call more.
You got to use that phone for something. Get off those games and go outside.
Anyway, sorry, I went into a hole there. Don Cheadle, Black Monday. What's Black Monday?
So Black Monday is a show, I believe it's on Showtime.
Yep.
It's really funny. It's like him, there's drugs, it's the 70s. It's
I like Don Cheadle.
pretty great.
Doesn't crack me up, but intriguing.
Well, it's part of, because
Space Jam.
Yeah. Showtime, that combined with like your Deezes and Marrows, they're really hitting hard on the urban demographic this past year, so that was part of that.
What do you mean?
She means
I live in a major city.
Not for Emmy voters.
I listen to NPR.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nothing to add.
Nothing on that one.
No.
Okay. Outstanding lead actress in a comedy series: Christina Applegate, Dead to Me; Rachel Brosnahan, Marvelous Ms. Maisel; Julia Louis-Dreyfus for Veep; Natasha Leone for Russian Doll; Phoebe Waller-Bridge for Fleabag; and Catherine O'Hara, Schitt's Creek.
That's a great category.
Yeah.
That's a great.
But I think it's Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Yeah, I know all the other nominees have a wonderful night. And, congratulate Julia, because there's no way it's the last season.
And she's never lost for Veep. I think she's 6 for 6, and everything that went on with her personal life. Not that would factor in because the performance alone is fantastic, but there's no other chance for anybody else.
She cut it short for chemotherapy,
Yeah.
not for Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yes, not for Star Wars. This is another one where, and the women's categories at the Emmys and the women's categories on the Globe, they always kind of do something funny. So I get really excited to see these just to see what the women come up with. That's going to be like a funny riff on what they're.
I liked it when Amy Poehler and Tina Fey were seemed to always be nominated for a while for 30 Rock and Parks and Rec. They seemed like they were the leaders of that charge, because it's always some kind of a funny thing.
But it's sort of sad because Fleabag also its final season. It's 2 and done.
Yeah.
And she's so good that this will be her. I'm sure she'll do great things in the future, but her only chance to win for that show that was like based on her own one-woman show. So oh well.
Well, she sold a lot of that jumpsuit, so I don't think she gets any of the money from that. But I'm very, very much looking forward to every party in LA this fall where everyone's wearing that jumpsuit. It's very exciting. So
I'm gonna be the sexy priest for Halloween.
Outstanding supporting actor in a comedy series, we've got Anthony Carrigan for Barry, Alan Arkin for The Kaminsky Method, Stephen Root for Barry, Tony Howe for Veep, Tony Shalhoub for The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, and Henry Winkler for Barry. So someone from Barry is winning. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, or they split the Barry vote.
Yeah.
And then Tony Shalhoub sweeps in there and grabs it. The Emmys love Tony Shalhoub.
They really love it,
right?
I think Henry Winkler.
Oh, that's right. It was his first one. The Good Night Kids.
Yeah. But I was just looking at, like, all of these are like the one you root for. Like Alan Arkin, Stephen Root, Tony Hale, Tony Shalhoub, Henry Winkler. I'm not familiar with Anthony Carrigan, but I don't watch Barry. I should. But they're all the ones that, like, you watch and you're like, oh, I want him to win.
Yeah.
So that's tough. That's a tough one. Like, none of them gets the sentimental vote. They're all equally.
Cancel out the sentimental vote, cancel out the Barry vote. Next,
It's a tough category.
It's
wide
a tough
open.
category.
Yeah, it's wide open.
We've got Outstanding Supporting Actor in a Drama Series, Jonathan Banks for Better Call Saul, Giancarlo Esposito for Better Call Saul, Alfie Allen for Game of Thrones, Nikolaj Coster-Waldau for Game of Thrones, Peter Dinklage for Game of Thrones, Michael Kelly, House of Cards, and Chris Sullivan, This Is Us. Sorry, Chris Sullivan.
I don't know, but like Dan said, the Game of Thrones votes could be split, and the Better Call Saul votes could be split. There's no far and away front runner out of those 5.
I think the Dink takes it.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even though people again, it's sort of what you said. It's even though people might have had an issue with where the show went, Peter Dinklage himself was really good this season. I mean, the writing may not have been up to snuff for many people, but the acting and the technical craft of it, except for some people with the cinematography and the Battle of Winterfell, I think they give Dinklage one last go around.
Yeah, I mean, he's almost, for this season, the person that guides you through the show, because he works with Daenerys on a day-to-day basis, but he's also rooting for Jon Snow in the back of his head. And you watch as he battles between himself. What's the right choice? Do I stay with the person that I've promised myself to, or do I choose the prince who has been promised everything? And I like Dan said, I think the writing wasn't great, but he has some fantastic monologues throughout the season. The one with his brother in the tent before he sends him away.
Oh, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah,
and then even when he goes down in the final episode and finds. I won't. But he finds what he finds down there. Like, that's a heartbreaking performance, even if you don't like what he's finding down there. He's great. He's great. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's his to lose.
Yeah. And then lastly, we've got Outstanding Limited Series, Chernobyl, Escape at Dannemora, Fosse Verdon, Sharp Objects, and When They See Us. It's Chernobyl. It's Chernobyl's year. The only thing I think that would stop it is that Chernobyl can be like a little bit of a difficult watch.
It's heavy. It's for sure heavy.
Well, it's not like any of these are feel-good hits of the summer. Like, these are all TV these days. Like, the prestige dramas are designed to just ruin your night.
It's a bummer summer, man.
In a really satisfying, artful way. Fosse is not a happy story. Escape at Dannemora, it's brutal.
Also based on a true story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't throw out your meds this year.
Keep those meds handy. Are there any, just kind of wrapping all of this up, were there anything like in particular that you think of as a snub that didn't make it onto here?
The Masked Singer was not nominated for a competition series. I defy you to find another competition series like The Masked Singer out there. Where else are you going to see Tommy Chong singing karaoke in a pineapple costume? Nowhere. It is singular television.
That's true.
Not so much a snub. Did Stranger Things 2, was that eligible for this one?
It was not.
No.
So then it's more of a questioning of release strategy almost, that Stranger Things...
Go all the way around.
Yeah. Because I thought you could get a lot of noms out of this season, especially David Harbour, who I thought was fantastic and would easily, if not win, make his way into the conversation. I thought that was an interesting choice to push it back.
Yeah, that's interesting. Next year is like, are the Emmy voters next year going to be able to think all the way back to before the nominations for this year came out to remember Stranger Things, because it came out after the deadline. I agree. Like, I know that they wanted to go with the July 4th date.
Yeah.
But if they'd done it maybe a month earlier or whatever the deadline was, I think you would have seen maybe a lot of Stranger Things nominations. Whereas here now, next year, everyone's going to have to think back to like, yeah.
All right, that one show. Was there anything in there that was really exciting or very surprising?
Well, I guess, a show I love from this last year was Succession, and it got a nomination in Outstanding Drama Series. It's one of those, I laugh a lot more at that than I do at, Ozark or something like that. But I think what elevates that show is the performances. So for all of those actors to get shut out that's a big snub for me.
I could see that. And that might be another one where once we've gotten rid of, that sounds terrible. But once some of these ones who are in their last season clears out, then that creates more room for everyone else.
Yeah, I think for me, the shining light here is Barry. I've talked about it a little bit throughout the show, but they're losing Veep. Curb, who knows when that comes back and forth. It's a really good central comedy for them. It's dark and it kind of fills or plays in both spaces, but it's amazing. I mean, Bill Hader and Alec Berg doing a tremendous job writing it, and then sometimes jumping in to direct it as well. I can't speak the praise of that show enough. And again, if you've not watched it, just watch out for NoHo Hank, because it is such a unique character that you would not see even in The Masked Singer.
What if I don't care about actors?
Do you care about assassins?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
It's got a little bit for everything.
Okay. Yeah. We'll just tune out during all the acting scenes.
Yeah, just don't. No one cares about improv, Spencer.
Exactly.
Sorry, Jeff.
That's a show about improv? Count me out. New choice. I hear it's great. I watched the first couple. I liked it.
Yeah.
But,
It's quick. It's only half an hour. You breeze through it.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts on any of these?
We're very honored, I guess I should say, to be nominated again with Billy on the Street.
Yeah.
Who Spencer used to write for. Right?
I will take partial credit if Billy on the Street wins. Thank you.
And then Game of Thrones. We've been nominated with them before. That's always awesome. Our nemesis, Carpool Karaoke.
Cornet!
And then Randy Rainbow, who none of us had been familiar with until today, but a fellow YouTube nominee, which is great. Yeah. I'll be the first to admit, going into this, I was convinced that we were not going to get nominated because all of the late night shows have stuff, and then this has been the least number of late night nominees, I think, since we started. So because it's just Carpool Karaoke, and then the rest are all web shows like produced for the web, which is great. I love that.
Yeah.
That's what the category is all about.
Now we just have to figure out how much Randy Rainbow was going to spend on his Emmy camp.
Rainbow. My money is that this year we lose to Game of Thrones. Because it's the last season. They're going to get the last season bump that Game of Thrones got.
But does Jonathan from Queer Eye still do it, or did he get too big?
No, he still does it.
Oh, yeah, we're screwed.
We're totally screwed. We're so losing to Game of Thrones.
And you got some really good names this year, too. JVN? Actually, no, that's a good loss. Yeah. All right. Well, this has been Fandom Entertainment. Go ahead and like and subscribe. Make your mouse and the bell become one. What have you been, Ryan? What have you been listening to lately?
Like music-wise?
Yeah, you're getting real poetic with these.
Just like some lo-fi beats.
Some lo-fi big beats.
Lo-fi hiphopista.com. Good job, Brian.
All right. Reminder, we will be at San Diego Comic-Con. Come to our panel Friday, July 19th from 8:30 to 10 p.m. in room 6A. It is a late night. We know that you're not going to get into the Marvel panel. There's no point in standing in line
we
for that.
We literally have our panels the same time when they're handing out bracelets for Hall H. So we're just going to be like, hello, Raoul. Thank you for making the journey here to see our panel.
It's going to be a party. We're going to shut it down.
Yeah, it's going to be great. You guys come and hang out. We've got to have some surprises. Lots of you good in store. We have been planning our butts off. And so, we're going to be doing, speaking of, a pre-tape tomorrow as Ryan says, vroom vroom to San Diego Comic-Con tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining us and letting us in on your insights for Emmys and shows that you like.
Exactly. Happy to be here. If you guys ever need some more insight, let me know.
That's fantastic.
Even some planning. Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, yes, we need I have $20.
I know a guy.
Yeah.
Everybody pass the hat. Dude, pass the hat for Emmy nomination.
And we'd be remiss. What, you want to plug anything?
Yeah,
for Amazon?
Sure.
I buy paper towels there.
For myself,
fast.
You can follow me at Felix Moore on Twitter and at Sir_Felix on Instagram. But more importantly, working on a film right now called Brittany Runs a Marathon with Jillian Bell. It got picked up at Sundance this year. I've had the opportunity to see it a couple times just for work purposes. It is fantastic. Please go out and see it. It is amazing.
All right.
Yeah, August 23rd.
Sweet.
Nice.
There we go. Go see those movies, and we will see you guys at Comic-Con. Bye!
Ah.
Bye!
Great.